Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. It's quite funny, really, the way Flat Earthers are continually trying to find new ways to explain the Flat Earth in conventional scientific ways at the behest of globe Earth defenders. But what Flat Earthers are really trying to say or explain is the science of the mind. I think most Flat Earthers listening to this will agree that coming across Flat Earth is like taking a step on this path of trying to answer the most fundamental questions that burn inside our minds and our hearts. There's a feeling that maybe it's been like that all your life, that something just ain't quite right about the way things are. And we spend our lives trying to work out what it's all about. And whether we can articulate it or not, what Flat Earth thinking and exploration and eventually concluding that things are just the way we see them and there's a limit to our understanding of how things work is a significant step in this path towards answering some of those fundamental questions. And there is some satisfaction in the, not necessarily the answers, but in the understanding that we may have held certain beliefs, or we at least examine the culture that we come from and the mindset that is created by that culture. This can come at us in a multitude of ways that may get us thinking about how we are, who we are, reflecting on how we react to certain situations or how we suffer in life, whether that's mental anguish, heartache, physical pain. We try to make sense of why certain things happen to us, or why we end up doing certain things, because we know that we react in a certain way because of who we are or what we are. And that is that we are humans in a place that is meant to be here, a physical existence in which to experience things and somehow garner some meaning from it, the answers to which we probably just don't get to know until we turn that page of death and look at the look at the back of life for the answers. It's like an exam, it's like a test. But you've got to work out the rules yourself. You've even got to work out the questions for yourself. But the questions and the answers are all inside. You don't need books, and you don't need teachers, and you don't need YouTube videos, really, or any of that. You certainly don't need tech to tell you these things. But of course, things happen for a reason, and information flows for a reason, and you cannot stop progress. You have to embrace progress, but be aware of the direction that progress can take you. But the choice is always ours. A personal choice based on our experiences, or even other people's experiences, and trying to find a way through this tangled web of the physical existence we find ourselves in. So we understand when we come across flat Earth, it's by going through it and picking apart our often dearly held beliefs about the more esoteric things in life. And let's be honest, the idea of space and going to the stars and the planets is a very esoteric thing, but we've been conditioned to become very familiar with the idea that we can get there one day, we can reach for the stars, we can, but no, the point is to understand that we can't get there, and we can wonder about these things that we can't explain. But maybe the point is to know that you can never know, and so anyone who tries to give you an answer or an explanation, especially if it's one that's in hardened science or the conventional science we immediately think of, then there will never be answers. There will never be scientific answers to the questions that we ask ourselves. But there is a science of the mind. There is a science to the steps one takes through life to reach an understanding. That may be many lives that we have to live to take these steps. We might go through a life in which we never take even the first step on this path that in Buddhism is called the Four Noble Truths, on which you then follow the Eightfold Path. This is a scientific method of the mind, but the thing is, it's not something that you have to follow by the book. It's something that just happens naturally. It's the natural science of our mental, or not mental, but the evolution of our soul that takes place if you are in the right time and place and space in your head and heart to take that journey of discovery. And the Four Noble Truths are suffering, all about suffering, which is pretty much everything that we experience in this physical realm. It's whether you desire something, you want something, then you're suffering. We might be in pain, we might have a disease, we are suffering physically. We might fall in love or have a broken heart, and this is suffering. These are all extreme emotions that can be brought on by external events and advertising and what have you. And of course, the internal struggle to try and find some satiation, if that's a word, to be satiated by this material world. But ultimately, we know we can't. We can't live off all these things that we have to buy and invest our souls in. So, the Four Noble Truths, we have the truth that there is suffering. That's the truth. The first noble truth is that there is suffering. In Buddhism, they call it dukkha. The fact that we are here on this earth to have this kind of experience is a form of suffering. And it can be from the extreme physical and mental pain and torment to subtle inner conflicts and existential malaise. It's just basically the daily emotions that tug on your heart every day. It's a truth of our existence, the first truth that we suffer in a multitude of ways. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering. This is knowing that with all this turbulence going on in our lives, we try to control the situation, and this causes us suffering. Whether we try to resist something or try to attain something, this is always a cause of suffering. Trying to grasp or cling to something, or attachment, that's probably an easier way to put it, just attachment to ideas, to possessions, to objects of affection, or an attempt to not allow things into your lives. So attempts to remain detached, to not accept things or try not to let things, this is all rather than just letting them flow past and observing them. So we are constantly doing this. We experience suffering, and we try to control the suffering, try to put an end to it by getting that thing we want or shutting that thing we don't want out of our lives and our thoughts. This is all suffering. It doesn't result in anything positive. It remains there as a desire, as an attachment, until we can let go of it. So we it's all about the self, the me, I want, or I don't want. It's not fair. It shouldn't be like this. That's the second noble truth of the suffering, the cause of suffering that we experience on a moment-to-moment daily basis. And then we have the truth of the end of suffering, and this is the awakening, as it were. So perhaps we can say that many people are in this third stage of the noble truth, or stepping into it, this third stage, the truth of the end of suffering, knowing that we have these attachments and we try to control our attachments, that letting go of them and detaching from them and not allowing things to become personal, knowing that there's a monkey mind inside a body, and although your soul and your spirit is one, is connected, you can also detach from that and watch from a distance the things that affect you come, hang around for a while, and then go. As you allow them to come in, the good and the bad, you allow yourself to see your reaction to them and maybe study how and why you react to things, whether they are external influences or internal thoughts, and then letting them go. So we come to this realization that we have a choice of how we will deal with certain situations. But of course, the most difficult thing in the world to do is to do that, to practice what is preached. Because this happens on a moment-to-moment basis. It's a never-ending struggle within, from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you become unconscious again. So we have to constantly remind, once we have awoken to that, we have to constantly struggle to remind ourselves that that's how it is, because you can wake up and then 5 minutes later you're in a raging argument with your spouse because of some misunderstanding or something someone said and then or did, and you have a personal take on it, and you forget that you've already realized that you can become detached from the emotional baggage that makes up you. So, okay, you've awoken, you've taken that third step in the Four Noble Truths, but there's the work has only just begun. I say you, and I mean me as well. I mean, no, you know, nobody is perfect, but that's okay if you can accept that and accept that ourselves are never going to be perfect, and it's a continuous effort to strive for perfection, reach for the stars. But maybe we'll never get there. So you, at least, okay, it's awakening and letting go. That's the third noble truth. Awakening to the suffering and seeing how you can find a path to the end of the suffering. You at least see the way. There is light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. And so the fourth noble truth is the truth of the path to the end of suffering. Knowing that we have to travel down what might be a dark tunnel to get to the light at the end of that tunnel. We have to do it. There's no other way. We simply have to walk the path and encounter whatever we will meet along the way to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. Apparently the Buddha taught it as getting on a raft and crossing a rough river. And we know that this part of the journey is to move beyond the conditioned responses that obscure our true nature. In this sense, it's the path that is ultimately about unlearning rather than learning. We can learn to unlearn and uncover the truth of who we are. And I think that is what resonates. That's the truth that is resonating with truth seekers, especially truth seekers who have come across and indulged their minds in the flat earth and opened their eyes to the beliefs and the conditionings and learned how we've been conditioned, and learned at the same time how to unlearn that conditioning, to rebel against it, to discard it. So, yeah, unlearn what you have learned. There's so much truth, really, in that phrase. And so we take the journey, we cross the river on our raft of new knowledge and practicing that knowledge, not just knowing it, but doing it as well. We get on the raft, we get to the other side, and then we must discard the raft. Let it go. We don't need it anymore. We got to the other side. But of course we had to really have the intention and perseverance to get to build the raft and allow it to take us across the river. So that's the science of life's path. It's, you know, it's not the conventional science of reaching for the stars to a place that you can never get to. And that's why Flat Earth feels so much like a very solid answer to those burning questions, because you realize that you've got to that point where you can unlearn what you've learned, and you have the tools now. You have the raft. You've built the raft for the rest of life's journey to allow the currents and the waves to take you wherever they will take you, and go with it, not fight it, not waste your energy. You know, so this is important, that our energy is not diverted by trying to persuade people that don't want to be persuaded, because they're not ready to build their own raft. You just got to build your own. And they can stay on the riverbank and watch you go. And you must let them go. Because it's always a personal path. So we are grateful. So this opens the doors to the more spiritual understanding, a better, more satiating understanding to what it's all about, the purpose of being here. It doesn't matter how it works. You get in a car and it doesn't matter if you know how the car works. The point is to get in the car and experience the journey. Let it take you where it will take you, and take in the scenery. If it breaks down, then leave the car behind. You know, in the physical and the psychological sense. Yeah. So this is our struggle. We have people demanding. Well, this is it, isn't it? I suppose all of us have this, but every single one of us has this burning desire to know how, why, who we are. And of course, an explanation as to, or an apparent explanation as to how it all works may feel somewhat fulfilling, and that might be enough for you, but what can be seen in this idea that science answers all the questions is that there's more to it than that. You know, there's more steps to take. There's answers that, there's questions that can never be answered. There's a limit to our understanding. Whether we're talking about how to describe, we can describe gravity, but we do not know the source or the cause of gravity. But someone has come up with some superficial explanation, and so for many people this is a rock, this is a foundation of an understanding about what it's all about. And of course, if we are told that it's an accident, but we can tell you how it all works, or give you a description of how it all works, this may be something that people cling on to because they feel they have some understanding of it. And especially if you're mathematically minded or something, you can feel this. It would resonate with you to an extent that I get it. It makes sense. And that's enough. But of course, the very fact that we are sentient beings, and even science cannot explain how, why, where, who we are, then you have to go deeper. Deeper within, not up, up, up to the stars for whatever generation down the road, but that's distraction, that's delays, because it's all about the now. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow. You can never be in yesterday, and you can never be in tomorrow. You can only be now. That doesn't mean that we don't care about what we do and just look for escapes or pleasures. You can have consistent pleasure in the now, but it's not a kind of pleasure we have become accustomed to thinking of as being a fulfilling pleasure, whether that's something sexual or financial or status or whatever. None of these things are truly fulfilling. So yes, we are constantly being misdirected. We are constantly being subjugated to desires and influences that we try to control. But the more we try to control them, the more frustrating it becomes. So we ultimately have to understand how we are influenced by things and just let it go. And then comes the eightfold path, which is a more in-depth set of stages that really is, again, the science of the mind. This is simply what happens when you commit yourself to crossing the river. So I'll just briefly go through these 8 precepts, which are basically the way we handle the trip across the river on the raft. So the first one is Samadhi, which is the concentration, the understanding of the nature of reality and taking that path. In these are Sanskrit words, and also to Samadhi is to meditate. So to focus your attention. When we meditate, we focus on our breathing. It's not focusing on thoughts. It's that the thoughts come and go, and we allow them to wash over us, and eventually we go deeper to a place where the thoughts are not affecting us. So we have that concentration, that presence of mind in a way that's not being distracted. We have the next one is Sama Sankappa, which is the right thought or attitude. So, it begins with stopping or examining the thoughts before they even form as words in your mouth. So we react to something. Oh, you can't do that, or that's not right, and you're about to say it, but then you've got to catch yourself with the right, adjusting your thoughts or putting your thoughts into perspective. The third one is Samavaka. This is the right speech. So the thoughts have come. You've slowed your thoughts down so that you can produce the right words to translate those thoughts. And then we have the fourth one is Samakamanta. So this is the right action. Yeah, so we have the right thought or the right attitude, which leads to the right thoughts, which leads to the right speech, and subsequently the right action. These can be a basis for, a noble life in itself. That's often quite sufficient to get to the other side unscathed. But they go on. We have the sixth is the the fifth one is Sama Ajiwa. So this is living the right way, an ethical way, not exploiting things or people. So you're trying you're trying to be the change you want to see in society. So when someone asks, well, what do I do now? What do I get that the earth is flat, or it can be, and if those people want it to be round, they can have it that way. So it's, of course, all the other issues that the world has, the politics, the division, the inequality, the other suffering brought about by people who are not on the same kind of path. What do you do about it? Now I'm awake, I want to do something. Well, you just have to be the change you want to see. That's all we can do. I'm sure many of us have realized now that there's a limit to what you can say to convince someone. You can show them all the proofs in the world. You can show them that all the evidence and the reasons why we didn't go to space, and how people have been led to believe that we're doing that and going off to other planets. But someone who doesn't want to listen just won't listen. It doesn't matter what. They just want to go back to the Matrix and eat their steak. So this Sama Ajiwa is just leading the right life yourself, and leading by example, I suppose, and others who are ready to follow will follow. Then we have the sixth is Sama Vayama. Sama Vayama. This is putting your full effort, your energy and vitality into the path, into the livelihood, into doing the right thing, leading by example. So you do that wholeheartedly. The seventh is Sama Sati, and this is, further developing awareness of oneself, and just being more clear about the nature of reality. And the eighth is, it's very difficult to describe, but it comes back to building the awareness and ascending in increasing levels of consciousness and awareness. So this is Samadhi, which again is very similar to the first one. The first one, Samadhi, and the eighth is Samadhi. So this is to be fixed, to be focused, absorbed in the now, to really be in the now without the effort, I suppose. It's you've trained yourself, trained the monkey mind to, that you don't have to stop the bad thoughts anymore. You don't have to make an effort to stop the speech. It just comes naturally, because you are in the now and you are aware of everything that you know, the instinctive awareness that you might have, just like a sailor might have an instinct about what he or she must do in a certain situation for everyone to be safe, avoid the storm. So this is it. This is where we are, flat earthers. This is where we're going. We're not going to an edge. We're not going beyond an ice wall. We are going inside. So, and this is where we find the answers to those fundamental questions that have been bugging us for so long. And even the answer to the question, what do I do about it? Well, you just keep on walking your path, or sailing that raft, and practicing the unlearning what we have learned. So it's a step in a direction that does lead to a better place. Hey, you know, maybe someone will go beyond the boundaries that we see have been imposed in a somewhat artificial way. The globe. Round and round the globe. Nowhere to go. Up to the stars. Well, no, we can't go there either. And maybe we can or we can't go beyond what's been mapped out. But realistically, most of us will never get the chance, especially if we are sitting around in hangouts. I'm not discrediting that at all. It's wonderful that people are sharing ideas, but okay, we reach a point where we have an understanding that there is more to do. There are answers to be sought, but trying to please the demands of or even explaining to people that stars are not other suns, or that wandering stars are not planets being swung around by gravity. It's going beyond that science. We all instinctively know that. I think that we are talking about a way of looking at life, a way of understanding life, and wanting to follow that path of free thought and discovery, and knowing that we have a choice in what we choose to believe in. But it's always a personal choice. So I hope this is some kind of inspiration and grounding, and maybe an explanation of what's next on this wonderful path of discovery. I'll just finish off with a quick note to anyone in the UK who is interested in learning more about Buddhist teachings and practices. In March, if you're in the Birmingham area between the 10th and the 24th, there are 3 sessions happening at the Mahathat Buddhist temple in Kings Bromley, just north of Birmingham. Miss Superwan Green will be talking there from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Friday the 10th of March, from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. on Saturday the 11th of March, and from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Friday the 24th of March. It's a lovely Tudor-style building near the Peak District, just north of Birmingham, so it might be worth a visit. Kun Superwan is a Thai, but has spent many, many years in the UK, and she's written lots of books that are very helpful in giving examples of real life situations and how Buddhism can be applied to help get through them, or at least understand what's going on. So she's very knowledgeable and very passionate about what she does, and is very willing to help people seek answers to some of those burning questions that we all have, whether we believe the earth is flat or not. Thank you very much.
Because I never know what I'm going to come out with. Okay, so right. Okay, so we know that this is one of the Bambi life. Okay, and this is working 24/7. Especially people who work in the bank. I work a lot of my students in Thailand. And toward the end of the year, I don't see anyone because my life is at the work. That is my home. My real home is the second home, so they say. And especially the working class people. When I go to Thailand, I often talk to working class people, all this maid, all this, working, and some of them have only 1 or 2 days off in a month. A month, 1 or 2 days off. Okay. The lower they are, the more they got to work. And it doesn't mean that they got more money. No. So, to them, health is on display. Isn't it? Really. See, this is another Bambi. When you, as I say earlier, we thought that, we have family, everything will be okay. But we just don't know. And especially having children now, that you really got to watch them like a hawk. Because so many missing children. Have you heard of these missing children? Just only here, England and America, each year you talk about reaching 1 million children from 2 to 17 gone missing. Something going on. I don't know. Okay? So this is one of those days that people may look at you, and even envy you because you are so perfect. You got everything. You got the look, you got the job, you got good family, everything is good, but only that, no, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And worse than that, I still don't know what's wrong with me. I just know that I am so restless, I just have this huge void in here. I look around, I got all this wealth, I'm not starving. I'm so lucky than so many people in the world. But what happened to me? I'm just not fulfilled. Okay? And I don't know where the answer is. Okay? So this is the kind of day that can drive people up the wall because they just cannot understand, what's going on. Okay? So, the worst case scenario is all these breakdowns, depression, breakdown, this thing. And the only thing that they can rely on nowadays is that, pot a pill, keep on popping the pill. Okay? Because when you go to talk to a counselor or GP, they all got only, 3 minutes for you? They don't have 6 months for you to tell your problems. Okay? So that is the best thing at the moment out there, that they can offer you. And that is one of those days. And the mental disorder or mental problem, I think, is reached the pandemic level now. And we don't have enough resources to help them. We don't, you know. We just don't know what to do with them. Okay, so this is a huge problem in humanity, you know, in the Western world. Okay, and worst case scenario is that people just really get angry with everything, you know, and then go out and hurt people, as we all know. And this is another Bambi life that we seem to celebrate, you know, birth, but we never talk highly about death because we're scared. It's a issue that, you know, no. I just read quite recently one of the Thai monk, he passed now, and he said that in fact we should be doing the reverse because birth and death, okay, life and death, in fact they're only two sides of the same coin. As long as you have birth, you will pass sooner or later, okay? So there are just two sides of the same coin, but a culture makes us misunderstand that we be here forever, you know, and then we glorify one thing, whereas the other thing we keep on, you know, having all these things, you know, sorrow thing, which is understandable because it's parting, but the wisdom try to tell us that, you know, where there is life, there is death, okay? Just be prepared because no one can live forever. Okay, so I mean, this is one thing. And the worst thing is that we like to think that all people have to go before the little one, but there is no rule. There is no rule saying that, you know, all people have to pass before the little one. And if there is any jumping the queue, oh my God, the wound is just, you know, unbelievable. Okay. So this is the last picture that I like to show you, that we are now, you know, in the society that we more or less lost. Feeling lost, not in a jungle, you know, in Wales, in Scotland, you know, without anyone, but we are lost in a much profound meaning. We feel so lonely, you know, so alone in a party, in the sense that we can't seem to talk to anyone, and I cannot find anyone to really understand me, really understand what's going on in here. And sometimes I don't even have adequate words, you know, to explain how I feel. So in the end, you kind of live in your own world with all these niggling things, you know, here and there that cannot really make you fulfilled and settled. Okay? This is the kind of very profound loss that happened to all this individual, but we just don't know how to express ourselves. But because there are not enough people in this world who can really give you the answer that you really want. Okay, so whenever you say that, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm so depressed, I'm so, oh, this and that, the ready-made answer is that, oh, don't worry, I take you to a restaurant. This cook is super, you know, you forget everything. We go and eat, we go and have a drink. Let's go on holiday, let's go shopping, let's go do this, do that, you know, and you come back, you will forget. Don't worry. This is all we can reach out for each other. Okay? But the point is that you got to do all these things. You got to eat good food, you know, have good drink, good shopping, good sex, or good holiday of a lifetime. In the end, you have to come home. You have to come to yourself. You have to come to your own problem, because the problem, it could be in the living room, in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the bathroom. Isn't it? That is the place where we have the problems that niggling us here all the time. And can you run away? Yeah, you can do all those things. But in the end, you have to come back. Okay? However, I mean, this kind of superficial solution have molded our modern culture. Isn't it? This is exactly where all this materialism come from. You know, go and eat, go and consume, this and that. until it become like this. Okay, because we just don't have the answer. We don't have enough resources to give us the answer. And this is the very profound kind of lost isolation. Okay, even though you're in your party, in your 60th birthday party, sorry, you're still quite young. In my 60th birthday party, I'm gone 60 already, but you find that I don't enjoy this at all. This is the profound kind of loss that you got to try to identify yourself. Okay,